Live from Paradise Studios in Massapequa, New York, it's Unger the Radar, starring Randy Unger. Brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Tonight, Randy will be reviewing the new film, Bohemian Rhapsody, Unlovable, The Grief of Others, and the remastered The Fog. With special guest critics Matt Haberman, Elliot Haberman, and Robin Channing. Randy will also be interviewing actress Constance Zimmer of the 6th and final season of House of Cards. And now, here's your host, Randy Unger.
Hey everyone, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Unger the Radar, a very special edition. This is actually episode number 60, and I want to welcome my wonderful panel of guest critics tonight. We've got Robin Channing,
hello,
Elliot Haberman, and Matt Haberman. Hello, gentlemen. How are you tonight? Matt?
Very happy to be here and very excited about this one.
Yes, and we'll get to the excitement in one moment and why we're excited. But yeah, Elliot, how are you? First time?
This is the first time doing this. I'm very happy to be here, and I watched actually 4 films this weekend.
Thank you.
And
you're a trooper.
It was very enjoyable.
Oh, good, for the most part, right?
Different types of movies.
Yeah, very different. Robin, it's been a few weeks.
Yes. What was the last one? After Everything was one of the movies.
Yeah, I know you weren't a fan of that one.
Oh, quite the opposite.
It was a romantic dramedy about a guy.
I did not get the comedy at all.
See, I enjoyed it personally.
I was the wrong possible person to watch that movie. I was wrong. I was the wrong demographic. That's why I hated it so much.
Well, hopefully tonight we'll redeem that hatred.
Well, it's already been redeemed. I mean, we're going to do Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's true.
So,
this movie is amazing.
Yes, it was.
We're going to save that.
Save
that to the grand finale.
Yes. And actually, First Man we also reviewed, right?
Mm-hmm. That was great too.
That was good. And this is just me, but I think sometimes people have the wrong expectations for watching certain movies because First Man, I get the sense that especially the other reviewers wanted a much more broader, more all-encompassing profile of that event, the lunar landing. They didn't expect a much more personalized point of view from Neil Armstrong.
Right.
And I think that was the entire point of the movie. It was the personal viewpoint of Neil Armstrong, and I think the others...
They balanced his personal life with the actual mission brilliantly.
Right. I thought because that was the intent of the movie and that's what the movie delivered, the movie succeeded.
Yeah. It's a great one. You guys, if you haven't seen it already, amazing.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling is Neil Armstrong, and it's just
he was in La La Land, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Ryan.
He's a lot
Gosling.
better in this, in First Man, I'd say.
So it shows his true acting.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I wouldn't say true acting. I mean, La La Land. That was a very
Also,
demanding skill set.
The
that you had to
Notebook
put-
too.
Maybe, yeah. The Notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Notebook. That was pretty much the first notable role, I think. But I think my favorite role of his would be from Drive. I don't know if you guys saw it.
No.
I didn't see that.
It's a kind of a neo-noir thriller from 2010 or 11. It's really great. Visual style is amazing.
The man has range.
He does. So guys, we got a lot to cover today. 4 movies, and actually I'd like to announce the new segment for Matt Haberman, Nostalgia Time, where you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yes, Randy, thank you. This is Nostalgia Time now. Brand new segment that will introduce. Thank you, Randy, for introducing this segment for me.
Thank you.
And now, for what I'm going to be doing, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite of all time.
Yes.
Back to the Future.
Yes.
Now, Back to the Future, I know it's one of your favorites as well.
It is.
And especially to have my father on me, this is a very, very moment in time because I'm even going to be talking to you about Dad because you took me to see Back to the Future I remember this back in 1990. We saw Back to the Future Part 2 together. Now,
1.2 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts.
Yes.
21 gigawatts.
What the hell's a gigawatt?
Gigawatt, yeah.
Of course, back in 1985, I was about a year old when it came out.
Right. I was born, yeah.
But, Back to the Future has always been a part of my life. I've always enjoyed it. I always enjoy watching all three films. And once I start watching one film, I have to see all three of them. But over from the past years, you know, as if you can see right here on our display, we have a lot of great props here.
Beautiful props.
A lot
Now,
of paraphernalia.
we've got this wonderful book, Back to the Future.
Oh, I'll be recommending this. If anyone's a big Back to the
This is-
Future fan, this is the book that you
This is the
have
Bible
to get.
for Back to the Future fans. This thing is insane, and it's got little mementos, physical artifacts from the trilogy. Do not open until 1985, and it's got the receipt from 2015 that Marty got the almanac.
Let's not forget about a couple of
Oh.
letters. Now you have that one, and now this is the letter back from 1885.
Yeah, the Doc's alive. Yeah, this series, this franchise is so ingrained in my personality. It's like this is my childhood right here. Back to the Future is my childhood.
You know, it's I'll tell you a sad thing that happened with the Back to the Future. I was down in Universal Studios. It's very sad that they took that ride.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite ride.
That was such a great ride.
It was a great ride, and why they took that ride down.
They added it's the same format, but they added it as The Simpsons now, I think.
the Simpsons ride, which is pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
And I know this for a fact that the Back to the Future ride still stands at only one park. If you want
Oh,
to
like
ride,
Europe, right?
Singapore.
Singapore. Interesting.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, and you know you've got the almanac here. You've got the Pepsi bottle, Pepsi Perfect from 2015. The Lego DeLorean there.
Yes, when they came out with the Lego for the DeLorean for Lego Creations, I was so excited. And for this, my wife got that to me as a birthday gift.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, are you Back to the Future fans, Robin?
Partial. I follow.
Partial.
I've
Partial,
seen
okay.
the movies. I even watched a few episodes of the animated series, which was on CBS Saturday morning when I was a kid.
I remember those
Right.
days too.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
You know.
You're not as
And-
obsessed as we
and-
are.
And I was enough of a fan to enjoy the Back to the Future exhibit back in the 2015 New York Comic Con that they built
yes.
for Back to the Future.
Future
I have
Day.
pictures of it. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was a lot of fun.
That's great. And I think they had the DeLorean that year too.
They
in
had the
display.
DeLorean.
Nice.
They had a Marty McFly and a Dr. Brown cosplayer.
That's great.
Actually, both cosplayers. And I took pictures with them, and I was like, look at that.
We actually know one of the person that he goes by the name the Marty McFly lookalike.
Oh, Matt Bell?
Matt
yeah,
Bell.
Yeah, he's cool. I met him a few times at some cons, and yeah. Elliot, Back to the Future.
A big fan.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it's on this month on HBO.
Nice.
And you'll probably see it on a lot of the other channels for the holidays because they have marathons.
Nice, yeah.
So you will see it. I know it's on HBO this month, 1, 2, and 3, and you'll probably see it during the Thanksgiving holidays.
That's great. And, you know, I don't think I've ever done a marathon of all three films, Matt. Have you?
Oh, I've always done a marathon of all three films because, like I said, when I see one of them, I have to see all
You have
three
to
of
see
them.
all three. Well, you definitely have to see parts 2 and 3 together because it's a huge
You have
cliffhanger.
to.
You have to. But the first one's more of a standalone film. It ends so beautifully with the DeLorean.
Well, that's one thing with Back to the Future for how it is. It was never.
Right. It was just supposed to be one film.
It was supposed to be one film, and that was it. And then 5 years ago, they're like, "Well, let's make a whole sequel."
Yeah.
Now, if you had like the DVD, they show the making of all like Back to the Future Part 1, Back to the Future Part 2, and Back to the Future Part 3.
Right.
Part 2 and 3 were never meant to be made.
But they were made as like kind of, it felt like one long movie that they kind of just cut down the middle with like a little intermission between both. But,
Here's a point of speculation. Now, Back to the Future came out in 1985.
yes.
Right, which was a couple years after Star Wars Episode 6: Return of the Jedi came out. And
2 years.
Yes. And having said that, having demonstrated the success of a whole trilogy, you know, as that Star Wars did, I wouldn't be surprised if that was an influence for the Back to the Future trilogy.
Interesting.
That's a theory I have. Take it or leave it.
Well, they're very similar in this, they're both adventure epics of massive proportions, and they both use Industrial Light and Magic as their special effects team.
Of course. And in terms of like a 3-act play,
Right.
Back to the Future followed that as well. I mean,
Right.
You had the second movie. I mean, the first movie was basically an introduction, which was what Episode 4 of Star Wars: A New Hope was, an introduction.
However, it was Episode 4, so was it really an introduction?
Well, no, it's still an because George Lucas later realized that, you know what, I want to have it Episodes 4, 5, and 6. That way, it's an implied Episodes 1, 2, and 3, which a couple decades later did get made. But I digress. It was supposed to be just the one trilogy with an implied backstory. The first act was Episode 4, the introduction. The second act, which was Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, which was the conflict, put them in the worst possible situation, have everything go south.
Right.
South and sideways. And then
Jedi kinda
and
ties
then
it all
Return of the
together.
Jedi, Episode 6, the resolution.
Right.
And I feel that the Back to the Future franchise as a trilogy followed that same structure.
Yeah.
The first movie was the introduction. Second movie, everything goes south.
Yeah.
And then third movie, resolution.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with most trilogies.
With the most trilogies and even though, let's go ahead and focus on another trilogy that explains trilogies, the Scream trilogy.
Well, actually, there's a fourth one.
Well, I don't want to get into
You don't want
the
to
fourth
get
one.
there. That was
we
kind
don't
of
talk
even the
about
third
that
one wasn't worthwhile, in my opinion. I just like 1 and 2.
Of all the Back to the Future movies, I felt
Yeah.
that 1 was just the best. 2 didn't get the reviews.
Yeah.
They found that they said to be the weaker of the movies.
Right.
And 3, was, you can tell this
Everybody
was the
loves
last.
3. Yeah. See, 1 is considered a classic, a masterpiece.
Yes.
2 did not get the love it deserved at the time. I think it's developed sort of a cult following, at least from half of the people on this stage right now.
Well, I feel that 2 and 3 were made out of a sort of necessity because the last thing that the studios realized that they should do was repeat the exact same formula of,
Right.
of the first one. Because they didn't want to, do a whole wash, rinse, and repeat,
Right.
which could have happened very easily for the sequel, because they could have been like, okay, the first movie was so successful, let's just do it again.
Right.
And that's kind of a point that was touched upon in Bohemian Rhapsody with, remember that first record producer? It's like, hey, your first album was good, let's just do another one just like it.
You're talking about Mike Myers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, all of that said, I felt that they needed to go in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Before they went into the past, the 1960s here, they needed to go into the future,
Right.
2015.
And then they screw it all up
Was
with
it
the timeline.
55?
No, yeah, the first one they go back to 1955. Sequel was 2015. Third one was 1885. So,
Yeah.
We went back to the West.
yeah,
But they had to go back to 1955 again towards the end of
right.
the part 2.
Right.
So everything that the sequels brought to the table, I thought was a necessity because this is time travel. They don't just want to limit themselves to 1985 and 1950.
Right.
No. Bring in other eras, 2015, 1885, so on and so forth.
The whole zigzag effect of the second movie is so original, so awesome to
Yeah.
watch. It's totally not the first movie, which
So-
is your point.
Yeah, and exactly. And as such, I do not agree with any of the criticisms regarding the sequels.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
And even we've had what it went through in Back to the Future Part 2. That it went 30 years after the release of Back to the Future, the original. October 21st, 2015. The original release date of Back to the Future was October 21st, 1985.
Wow. I think that was on purpose.
It was done on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why in 2015, when they went to the future, New York Comic Con celebrated that in grand style. That was great.
And
Just the ride. I'll tell you that.
and also to see what future predictions came true, which was great. We still don't really have a hoverboard, like a real hoverboard made by Mattel.
We don't have the flying cars.
Not yet. We do have the Nike Mag sneakers that Marty gets, but they don't do self-lacing, unfortunately.
And we don't have the jackets either.
I think they do as a costume.
Replica jackets.
Yeah.
Well, flying cars, I see more videos for, like, they're basically drones, but in a much larger scale.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
They could-
with 6 or 8 rotors.
Yeah, they could definitely do that with a piece of plastic, a board.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised that one of these days you may see a redone movie of this. It can be done.
There is not to be a remake. That's
if
being
they-
told.
Anything is possible.
I mean, yeah, that would be a slap in the face to fans all
Yeah.
across the world.
I am going to recommend this also, this film. It was based on Back to the Future. You can find it on Netflix. It's called Back in Time, the
Yes.
documentary of
About
Back to
the
the
making of
the making
yeah.
and the fans of Back to the Future. There is also a documentary about the DeLorean itself, of how
Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that one though.
it's about the one that the Universal Studios, the original cars that were used to film the ride.
Nice.
It's a little bit depressing of how it was, but they came together.
How the DeLorean kind of just faded in a way.
Yeah,
Sad.
I'm not gonna for the whole film. It is another documentary,
Right.
But for all Back to the Future fans, there's all those two films. If you're a fan, I recommend you watch them on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
They are available to watch.
Right.
A prediction has formulated in my head
Aha.
right now based on recent trends. We had the Karate Kid movies, and now their spiritual successor is the Cobra Kai series on YouTube.
Yeah, that's supposed to be 30 years after the events of the
Yeah,
first movie.
it's basically the previous cast mentoring the next generation. Now we've got the Creed movies, which is basically the spiritual successor to the Rocky movies.
Right.
Opening up this, what is it, Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's coming out, yeah.
Creed.
Creed 2, yeah.
I saw the
Trailer
trailers.
for that. So they take
Rocky
these classic
never
films,
dies.
yeah, which is scary because I do think about a Back to the Future remake is,
Well, that's
inevitable.
This is my point. I don't think we're going to see a remake because, as I said, that would be a slap to the
Oh,
face.
God.
What I do see is the next generation coming up because look at the trends that we've been seeing. The
So
Cobra
Marty
Kai,
and Jennifer have the kids, have Marty Jr.
There's actually
Or-
a trend. I have
or-
actually forgot
or-
about this.
have it from Biff's kids' point of view,
Very good point.
Who actually turned out to be like the heroes and the good guys.
or at least the main characters, anti-heroes. Who knows?
I will also put this out, and I will recommend this. There is actually a little sequel to Back to the Future Part 3 in a video game. Telltale Games released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One the Back to the Future, the video game.
Also, there is a comic book series by IDW that has kind of extended the timeline of Back to the Future. And I think there's a subcategory called
Biff to the Future.
and Tales from the Time Train or something like that. Yeah. Very tempted. I haven't read them yet, but I'm really happy that they're extending the universe a little bit in that respect. So
There you have it.
we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So Matt, any closing words for your first nostalgia time?
I just want to say thank you for having
Oh.
me introduce this, and we hope that we can extend this.
Yes.
I would say stay tuned for more nostalgia time in the near future.
Yes.
There'll be great categories coming along the way.
Yeah, we'll see more of that, and we're excited to see what the future holds. All right, guys, so we got a short message from our sponsor, and we'll be back with our film review segment. Stay tuned. And we're back, guys. Welcome back to Unger the Radar. I'm your host, Randy Unger. And this is our film review segment, guys. We've got 4 big movies to talk about, 4 very different movies. So we will get right to it. The first one, it's a very depressing one, I'm sorry to say. We're going to get this one out of the way. And it's called The Grief of Others, and it focuses on a small, kind of weird, quirky family that must cope with the death of their tragic death of their infant. And basically it's the aftermath of this horrible event and how they're basically trying to get on with their lives and how they interact with each other. Elliot, I know you saw it.
Yes, I did. It's about a dysfunctional family.
Right.
takes place up in the on the Hudson, you know, which was upstate New York, and remarried family, and I will say it's probably it's a very depressing movie.
Yeah.
You know, the little daughter, Biscuit.
Biscuit, right.
Biscuit was her name, and tries to kill herself. Starts right up there. You know, it's very,
Yeah.
very depressing. And all I can say is it wasn't an easy movie to
Right.
tolerate.
To be honest, I fell asleep twice, so yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
not alone.
I fell asleep to that as well.
You did?
I will say this: of like in some of these movies, like I do give a recommendation of where these films to be made, and I'm gonna to be seen at, and I'm gonna be putting it to the critical the film review introduction to cinema class over at SUNY Cobleskill. Why it's such a very depressing movie, and with such a depressing town, I feel like it would fit right in at SUNY Cobleskill.
So this is your personal punishment for Cobleskill?
Yes, it is my personal punishment for Cobleskill.
Wow. Okay. Noted. Noted. But having said that, I did think that the performances were okay. I like the independent film aspect of it.
How you get a young little girl?
Yeah.
You know who the young little girl reminds me of? Do you remember the actress Christine Ricci? She was in Addams Family.
Oh, yeah, sure.
She
Christina.
kinda
Christina Ricci, yeah.
Doesn't she looks just?
Same hairdo. Yeah.
Same
All right.
hairdo.
All right. I see that.
I mean, I look at her and I said, "Wow, that's a young Christine Ricci."
Okay.
You know?
I met her once when I was I checked her in person when I worked at the Hilton Long Island.
Oh, you did really?
Yeah, when I was front. She was actually filming for the pilot of the show that abruptly went off the air, Pan Am.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that. That was a couple years ago. Yeah. Was she nice to you?
Oh yes, she was very nice.
Oh, that's good. That's so cool. Okay. But yeah, the acting was decent.
Right.
The camera work and editing was okay for what it was. I just wish that the subject matter wasn't so grim. You know?
Yeah, it was pretty. You put it.
Yeah.
Grim. It was
Yeah.
grim.
It's not, your typical fun night at the movies.
No, no. It was a tough movie to watch, but I get the subject, what they were trying to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin, any films out there about dysfunctional families that kind of come to mind?
Well, right now the only one that seems to come to mind is a movie called City Island.
City Island. Okay.
Yes. I can't remember the actor. I'm drawing a blank right now. He's a Cuban actor. He was in Godfather 3.
Andy Garcia.
Thank you. Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia.
Nice.
He played the father and the patriarch in that movie.
Okay.
I thought he did.
He's good.
I thought he's an excellent actor. I think.
Oh,
and
definitely.
He was the mayor in the new Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's right.
Which was, you've heard me speak about Ghostbusters many times, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just that was just a side note.
That is your other obsession next to Back to the Future.
Yes, just a bit.
Andy was very good in Internal Affairs, if you remember that movie. It's going.
Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't Andy Garcia also in Ocean's 11,
Yeah, he was
Yes,
in
yeah,
and
Ocean's-
12.
Yes,
I
he
think.
was.
Ocean's 12, and Ocean's 13?
Yes,
He was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that.
all those, and also I really liked him in Stand and Deliver. Actually,
Okay.
although he had a bit role as an FBI agent, like in the second half of the movie, I thought it was good.
I love that movie, Stand and Deliver. I
Yes.
really do.
Me too.
That-
Also, if you haven't seen it, Black Rain. He plays a detective, and his partner is Michael Douglas, and they have to go find these like Japanese drug lords or gangsters, and
I missed
all
that
hell
one.
breaks loose in Osaka. Yeah.
So City Island, going back
Yeah.
to that, the
Go on.
family starts off as dysfunctional to the point of toxic,
Mm.
but the way the movie comes about and the journey and the resolution,
Okay.
it's a good series of payoffs.
And I respect your taste in film, sir. So.
Yes.
Yeah. City Island. Okay.
Although that taste is not always mutual, based on the last time. But anyway,
I deserve that.
yeah. Yeah, City Island. You should definitely check that out. It came out a few years ago. Actually,
Okay.
So yeah.
And who else is? Do you remember?
Right now, Andy Garcia was like the most notable cast member
Okay,
of it.
cool.
But you should definitely check that out.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of movies involving dysfunctional families, that's a good one.
All right.
And
Cool.
especially that one scene at the end. Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Elliot, any final words regarding this depressing film?
Well, let's put it this way: when it was over, I mean, the funny thing is, I watched the whole thing.
Wow.
So
All the way through.
All the way through.
You are a brave person.
I watched it all the way through. I get what they were trying to, to get in the film. I mean, it was just very. I'll sum it up this way: it was definitely dysfunctional.
Indeed. And that's The Grief of Others, and it is now in theaters. So.
Where is it playing in the theaters?
Oh, well, I didn't check that specifically, but
Right.
it's probably a limited release, and you'll
Limited
probably
release.
find it in Manhattan.
It's like going to like an off-Broadway show. Or
Yeah.
something like.
Yeah, it's an independent film. You'll see it in a small theater somewhere. So that's The Grief of Others. And yeah, moving on to our next movie, which is probably what all of you feel for me, Unlovable. That's the title of this new film, which I really enjoyed it. It stars Charlene de Guzman, who for me is relatively unknown, and she basically plays a sex addict who basically finds her way while abstaining from sexual related activities.
Joy. She was Joy, right?
Yeah, Joy. Yeah, Joy. And basically, she holds herself up in this house and meets this neighbor of the woman who's her sponsor.
Maddie.
Maddie. Melissa Leo. Yeah. And basically, she befriends John Hawke's character in this, and basically finds herself and finds the true meaning of respect, self-respect.
Yes.
And this is another smaller film, but I loved it, despite the title, Unlovable. I loved it.
It seems to me like it's like being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And basically, that's how I got it. And she has an addict problem.
Right.
And it was a touching movie.
Yeah. It's a dramedy through and through.
Right.
Like, it's not really. It's funny. It's sad at the same time. Sometimes you don't even know how to feel during it, but the performances are great.
And she got her act together.
Yeah,
If you
she
watch
did.
that.
I mean, it's a spoiler, but you kind of would guess
Right.
that, But Matt, thoughts on this one, or?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't get the chance to watch that film.
Oh, that's fine. But it's about addiction.
But it's definitely a touchy subject, I
Yeah.
think. But, I mean, we've seen in a lot of people that a lot of people go through addiction and need to get help, and to just overcome these addictions is...
It's serious. And this woman, I mean, she's not addicted to anything like a chemical or anything, but it's more of a mental addiction.
Exactly.
This sex addiction, and I think they handle it really well in this movie.
I really did. How old is she?
You
she
know what?
seemed very, very young.
Right. She looks younger
Right.
than she actually is.
Right.
But I think she's in her mid to late 30s, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think she is. I didn't check the exact date, but yeah. She's I thought she was like in her maybe mid to late 20s.
The lady that played Maddie
Yeah.
kind of reminds me, looks like, I don't know if you all agree, looks like Martha Stewart. to
Okay.
me. That's just my opinion.
We don't have a picture of her, but
No.
it's Melissa Leo. She's been in a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
She was in The Equalizer 1 and 2. I think she won an Oscar too, actually. But that's funny. Martha Stewart. Maybe she'll play Martha Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, she looks just like Martha Stewart.
Okay. Robin, you didn't see this one, I don't believe, right?
It's been a really hellacious
Okay.
week, so yeah, I missed out on this.
That's
one,
fine.
too.
That's fine.
Dodged a bullet, but anyway. So before you would ask me about the previous movie, which dysfunctional family movie should I recommend? With this, what genre would you like me to recommend?
Lost person trying to find themselves.
Lost person trying to find themselves. For some very bizarre reason, Fight Club comes to mind. That's about as lost a group of people as you can possibly get.
Norton, Bonham Carter, and Pitt.
Yep.
Okay. That's a good one.
Lost. Oh boy. Right now, I guess it's an amygdala hijacking.
Why does that come to mind? I'm just curious.
Well, because the main character played by Edward Norton was really not just lost, but completely disenfranchised with his life and with society and what society and popular media tells him to do. And then along comes Tyler Durden, who basically says, F all of this. All right?
And by the way, this movie is almost 20 years old, so spoilers are warranted. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, even then, for anyone who hasn't seen Fight Club, who hasn't experienced it yet, it's a movie that doesn't just speak to lost people. I felt that when it came out, it spoke to an entire generation, myself included.
All right.
So although it's a really bizarre, effed up movie, it had a lot of interesting thoughts and a lot of engaging ideas, and
Right.
that's what really drew me in. It's one of those movies that captivated me at that time.
It's very psychological thriller.
Psychological and psychedelic in some ways, you know, and I still reference it to this day.
Nice.
And I cannot say enough about it. So yeah, the fact that it was just not just the one person who was like lost in his own way, but it in a way an entire generation of men were lost because they were like so despiritualized, you know, and the only way they could find a sense of life and living was by experiencing pain. So when they developed Fight Club, and which was basically, as described by another character, an underground boxing club, and they were hitting each other, it's not about hurting someone else. It's about being hurt themselves, feeling pain for the sake of feeling alive, because that's how dead they were.
They're beating up themselves.
Yeah, they're beating up themselves. It was about feeling the pain, because that's how dead they felt from how despiritualized and disenfranchised they were from the society around them.
Guys, are you big Fight Club fans?
I haven't seen that movie, but I've heard of that movie.
That should be on your to watch list.
That's another reason why I decided not to give any spoilers.
Well done.
But if for what you're saying about a dysfunctional family, well, I know one.
Careful, your dad's right here.
No. I know, like it's a certain TV show that's actually will get you so jittery and funny. So if you're watching that depressing movie,
Yeah.
I know a nice TV show about a dysfunctional family that will make you all happy and funny.
Good. What?
It's called Titus, of Christopher Titus.
You love Titus.
It stars Stacy Keach and Cynthia Watros.
Oh, Stacy Keach, she's great. He was
And-
he was in Escape from L.A., directed by John Carpenter, which we'll get into in a few minutes.
And Escape from New York. And,
Yes.
I was going to say, yeah.
But Titus, you recommend it.
Oh yes,
Yes.
I recommend it.
Okay,
It
cool.
will also teach you about life.
All right. Yeah, that was on a number of years, like about a decade ago. It ended.
2000. It premiered in 2000 and it ended in 2002.
Okay.
Only lasts 3 seasons.
But you think it should have gone on further?
I think it could have gone on for like 5 seasons.
Okay, noted. Well, I think that segues into our next movie. They just remastered The Fog, John Carpenter's 1980 horror classic, in 4K, which is actually now in select theaters. And yeah, this movie, I actually just saw it for the very first time about a week ago. And it's about a mysterious fog that sweeps this coastal California town, and nobody really knows what's inside the fog. But it's basically haunted pirate ghosts, killer ghosts that attack this small town. And Adrienne Barbeau is in it. She's basically the main character. Tom Atkins is in it. Janet Leigh,
Yes.
Hal Holbrook.
Who we see right here as a priest.
And, yes, there you go. Hal
Now,
Holbrook.
if anybody remembers, in the beginning of The Fog, the grandfather was played by John Houseman.
Oh yeah, okay.
So if anyone remembers John Houseman, probably hard to remember him. He was in a movie called The Paper Chase, and
He was British. Yeah, he was very
he was British.
Yes.
So he was in a lot of movies. So I recognized him when I saw the movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, like you said,
Jamie Lee Curtis is in this. Her
second movie right after
Halloween, basically cementing her as a scream queen.
Yes.
Because then she did, I think she did Prom Night and Terror Train, like within the same 2-3 years. Yeah. So, and this is directed by John Carpenter, who is basically he's the master of
And
horror.
this was probably one of Janet Leigh's last movies before her death.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You know.
Oh wait, and is she the mother of Jamie?
She is the mother of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
And the father was Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis, right.
Tony Curtis.
And I remember one of the
Hollywood
one of his
luminaries.
films.
Yes.
Some Like It Hot.
Oh
I
my
remember.
God, yeah. Classic. Comedy classic. That's number one on many lists of all-time greatest comedies
it.
of all. Oh, I've seen it.
I mean,
Yeah, it's great. Jack Lemmon's hilarious. But back to The Fog. I'll be honest, this movie is cheesy, but it's fun cheesy. And it's actually kind of really scary in some parts.
it's scary going back to 1980.
Yeah.
It was scary then.
Right.
You know, based on today, if I watch it today, did it scare the hell out of me? No, it didn't.
No.
Because times are different.
Right.
Because they have movies today that are all computerized.
Right.
And
they just did this with like
it's a classic.
They did this with like a fog machine and special lighting.
Yes.
Right.
That's really all it is, really.
Yeah. The special effects were pretty much limited to what you could rent for.
Yeah, and it's
given
great,
point.
though.
Or you can
Yeah,
get
right.
till today. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
You
today,
know,
I mean,
for what I'm going to be putting out, decades have gone with like times where a bunch of where dramas were big, or right now I would say that we're in like where superhero movies are big. But if going back with anything, if I can say for what type of movies that were big in the 1980s, it has to be the horror films.
Yeah. Well, I'd say horror and sci-fi.
Horror and
Yeah,
sci-fi.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sci-fi
So
films
good.
are still big to this day. But if anything, it was definitely the horror and sci-fi.
True. And Halloween came out in '78, so that was like the
Yes.
first. That basically jump-started the whole era.
yes.
You want to talk about sci-fi overlapping the 70s and 80s. Let's not forget Star Wars, which we just mentioned.
Yes.
And let's bring things full circle. In the 80s, we had Back to the Future, a
Yeah.
sci-fi classic.
And
course, of course.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Oh
Ghostbusters.
gosh, yes.
Now-
It's like that was in between both genres. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian Barbeau was married to the director John
John Carpenter.
Carpenter, and John Carpenter put her in all these horror movies. That's
Yeah.
where she basically started until she got into television comedy. Because she was all horrors in the beginning, and then she became comedian.
Oh, I thought it was the other way
She-
around.
No, because she
Ah.
was on going into watching, if you Maude, she was a spin-off from Maude, All in the Family.
Right, right.
And then she had some comedy movies. I think she was in a movie, I think it was not Easy Money, it was Back to School.
With Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, Adrian Barbeau was in that also.
Oh, wow.
But this is really where she was cemented in.
Yeah, she's shown brightly in this one, I think. So guys, John Carpenter, master of horror, he's been doing, he's pumped out classics over the last few decades.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, this was one of the movies I did see. And I am kind of a fan of John Carpenter because he has made some of my all-time favorite movies.
He's great.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
One of my all-time
That's-
favorites.
Oh,
That
film.
is the epitome of a fun movie experience. I
Yeah,
think.
I loved what he did in Big Trouble in Little China because that was it had the kind of camp, well, not just campiness, but just the general appeal of like the kung fu movies that came out at the
Yeah.
time and also the supernatural stuff.
So good.
And it was brought together in such a fun, imaginative
Yeah.
way. I loved that movie. And also They Live is another
Okay.
favorite Carpenter movie of mine.
Everybody loves They Live. I've only seen it once in my life. I think I need to rewatch it. I remember there being like a really crazy fist fight in an alley. That's
Yes,
like
with the late Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper and David Keith, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and David Keith. Oh my gosh, he's an excellent actor, by the way. And another point of trivia, he's done a lot of voice work. There was an animated series that came out in the '90s called Gargoyles. David Keith was the voice
yeah.
of Goliath.
Was he Goliath?
He was Goliath.
He was the Batman of the
He also
Gargoyles.
voiced Spawn in a couple Spawn animated movies.
Really?
And
Because he's got that authoritative, gravelly.
Was he
Right,
an
right.
officer and a gentleman? I think he was the the friend
It's
of
possible, it's
friend
possible.
of Richard Gere.
That sounds right.
Also, he was the father in the beginning of There's Something About Mary.
He was also in Armageddon as like a general.
Right, and of course there was with Vin Diesel. It started with the Riddick movies.
Uh huh. Oh, he was in that too.
Yeah, the beginning of Riddick, and then the one prior to that. They introduced the Riddick character.
But going back to They Live, David Keith was also in John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ah,
I don't know,
didn't
but
see that.
You didn't see it?
Not the thing.
But did you see the original?
I saw the
The
original.
original. I didn't see the original, but yeah. They're very different, but
Well, the effects are different.
yeah.
You know.
Same as it is. There is also the remake to The Fog, but even though it is, I do want to see the remake as well.
I'm curious too about the remake.
Me too.
Yeah.
now going back to the Fog.
Yeah.
Definitely, the movie was a product of its time, and I'm sure back in the early '80s or 1980 in this case, there were people who were legitimately really, really frightened. And
It is scary.
It was scary. And what I like about John Carpenter's work is that he knows how to build not just suspense. he also knew how to build mystery.
Yeah.
Because the question that looms in your mind, much like the fog itself loomed in this movie,
Nice.
is like, what is this fog? What's it going to do?
What's in it? What the hell's going to happen next?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
He knew how to develop the mystery. He knew how
Right.
it's like world building in a sense.
Right.
He knew how to build the mystery of this mysterious fog.
Right.
And I'm also thinking about the original Halloween as a result.
Oh yes, yes.
You-
Matt.
if you want to really like put an experience of this movie, watch it in a nice beach town, and then
In the dark.
and then you will have
The full effect.
the full experience.
Yes.
Then you could really, really be
Go
scared.
to a nice town like in like Rhode Island,
Nantucket.
Yeah,
Westerly,
perfect.
Rhode Island,
I love it. And this is in 4K now, so it'll be even more realistic.
or the
Exactly.
Montauk Beach, Montauk Point Lighthouse.
There you go.
And another Carpenter film that builds on suspense and mystery, Escape from New York, which
There you
is
go.
one of his best movies
Yes,
ever.
it was. And also and I like the sequel, Escape from L.A.
I didn't actually, and I've tried watching it numerous times. It's not good enough.
I like Snake Plissken. if
He's
nothing
great,
else.
but
I like the character, if nothing else.
they could have done a better sequel than that, though.
Well, get product of its time and so forth.
Right,
And also,
right.
I like the soundtrack. And you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, I basically liked Escape from L.A. just for Snake Plissken, and Kurt Russell did such a good job with the character.
I mean, he's still doing movies, Kurt Russell. He could definitely do a third.
I
That would be
liked
great.
I liked what Kurt Russell did in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I really enjoyed what he did in that.
Yeah.
You know.
All right.
Going back to Kurt Russell,
Yes.
I remember Kurt Russell's first movie.
Elvis.
You got to have it at the World's Fair.
Also directed by John Carpenter. That was like his golden boy. He would put him in everything.
You want to talk Kurt Russell, as in way back in the day, I saw a screen test of him auditioning for Star Wars.
As Han Solo?
No, I think it's Luke Skywalker.
Really?
I think.
Oh, he was a lot younger then, maybe.
He was
I could probably.
This was like the mid to late 70s. Yeah, the mid 70s, basically.
You know, in a way, Mark Hamill kind of looks like him now.
Yeah, right?
In a way.
In a way, right?
With a beard, but.
Yeah.
All right. I could see that.
So, yeah, that was some freaky footage, seeing Kurt Russell's screen test for Star Wars.
I'm going to have to
What?
YouTube that tonight.
Look for that, yeah. Yeah. Point of trivia.
All right, cool. So, yeah. Oh, and Captain Ron. I don't know if you guys.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that movie.
And he also had an eye patch in that, also like Snake Plissken.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of a nod to his work.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a fun movie. I remember watching it on VHS as a kid.
I remember Kurt Russell. He was a product of Disney also.
Yeah, he was in all those family-friendly
Yeah,
live-action
yes,
films.
The original Overboard, it still remains one of my favorites.
Overboard,
Yeah.
yes.
Him and Goldie Hawn, their chemistry, their way they brought the light, they lit up the screen together.
And speaking of chemistry, him with Stallone in Tango and Cash.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, that was excellent. I love.
That's a great action movie.
Yeah, right.
a fun
Seeing
one.
these two dudes, these two '80s icons in the
Yeah.
same screen, they were so good together. Too bad they didn't have a sequel.
I know, it's sad. And was Russell in any of the Expendables movies? I don't even.
I don't. That's a shame.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
Was he? He wasn't in Tequila Sunrise.
He was. That was with Mel Gibson.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah. All right, guys. So we've got 11 minutes left, and we're gonna save it for the
biggie.
the big film of the
Yes.
evening. Yes,
Oh,
the
yes.
main event.
Thank you for the screening ticket
Yes.
on that one, Randy. I am so grateful for that.
Yes.
Yes. So we've got the huge biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody, which basically chronicles the early life of Queen frontman singer Freddie Mercury,
Phenomenal.
played by Rami Malek. I want to say, is that
Yeah,
Rami?
I think that's
Rami
right.
Malek.
Rami Malek, yeah.
And basically how he meets his bandmates and how they basically are skyrocketed into stardom, and up until the Live Aid concert in 1985, and his personal issues, his health issues. And this is a huge movie. I thought it was great. I think Rami is going to win. I don't know if he's going to win an Oscar, but he'll probably be
But
nominated.
we were talking about it. He's
Yes.
going to. I hope
Yes.
that he'll be up for Best Actor.
I think he has a very, very
You know,
good shot.
It all really depends on who the other runners-up are.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Because-
think Gosling might be up there too with First Man.
maybe, yeah. Well, from
There's
what
still a few
yeah.
others.
I mean, I saw
Yeah.
First Man. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody
Yeah.
on the big screen, and this is just me, but I thought Rami Malek delivered much more.
It's a power punch.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
It's great.
He delivered so much more in Bohemian Rhapsody. This is just my opinion.
Yeah, he
I
did.
mean, that's not an easy.
And he's great in Mr. Robot. I've seen a few episodes.
Yes.
He's great.
Oh, yeah.
He's won some awards with that. And he's
very crisp actor.
Yeah, he's great. He's so different, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
refreshing.
Yeah.
And this role was perfect for him to be in Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury. And let me just say, through the whole film, I just love that they covered all the best songs of Queen on there.
Not all those.
yeah.
songs. I mean, come on, this is Queen we're talking about. There's so many hits. I mean, they only did like one song from the Highlander soundtrack, which is like one of the best soundtracks. Okay.
They did that? They did the soundtrack for Highlander?
Of course, you didn't know that,
I
dude.
did. No, it sounds familiar, but I'm just, it doesn't really fit in my head.
Dude, you should see the original Highlander, Christopher Lambert.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
I
forth.
saw it.
That all the songs were by Queen.
That's funny.
When they did another one, Bites the Dust, my feet.
Oh, that was
were,
good.
My
I know, right?
feet were going like this on the floor in the theater, and it's a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah,
but
it's long. It's long. 2:15 actually, but still.
I felt it could have gone on longer. I wanted more.
I
you know.
wanted more too. It didn't seem like it was like
It
very,
just
very-
moved so well.
Yeah. And there were still 6 more years of Freddie Mercury's life to go.
Yeah.
After 85.
Yeah, which I'm gonna say there definitely were some historical inaccuracies in it, which all the based on these true stories are. There's always gonna be historical inaccuracies.
Right.
Like we can go back from I'll put out a film here, The Greatest Showman, of the life of P.T. Barnum. There was a
I
lot
enjoyed
of
that movie too, by the way. Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I've heard very good things.
There's a lot of
dude, you missed out.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman really.
Oh, he's
nailed that
great.
one.
He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
song and dance man.
Yeah.
Great actor.
Matt, you were still saying?
But for the historical inaccuracies, like when they said that the band that he was diagnosed with AIDS,
Yeah.
that was based from like 1985, from
Right.
to the time of the Live Aid concert. But really, he wasn't diagnosed with AIDS until 1987, 2 years after the Live Aid concert.
And you just checked these facts, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. That's a biggie. You know.
Well, you know what? Is it really that important?
Yeah.
Because to know that, because to me, although it is an important detail historically speaking, for the sake of the movie, I find it to be an unnecessary distraction.
They just did it for dramatic effect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It
So,
also
you know,
it also tells you how a close band they were. They really were. He had some very bad advice from other people when he left
yes.
Queen,
Yeah.
Right.
and he realized that the band itself, they were family to him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was a family. Eddie Mercury to me was
Freddie.
all Freddie. Excuse me, Freddie was all family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was very, very big with family.
And he just wanted acceptance from his father.
That's it.
That's it.
And that was a very touching scene at the end.
Yes.
When
yes.
his father was watching the scene from Wembley Stadium and he started to
Yeah.
cry.
That's
It was
great.
touching.
I like how it
Beautiful
came full
moment.
circle. The father said something like good words, good deeds, and so forth.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
Good
and then
actions.
Freddie Mercury
Yeah.
said it back to him at the end. He's like,
Yep.
with the Live Aid, good words, good deeds. And then they hugged.
Yeah.
And so
Beautiful.
that really was a great, subplot.
The
And
acting, the soundtrack, the direction was very good. You know.
I enjoyed everything about
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody. And
I think it could have been a little shorter.
No,
a little bit.
I
Just a little.
I disagree.
I think it
I'm
could have
with you.
gone for.
You think it could have gone longer?
I'm not saying it could have gone on longer.
More music, maybe.
I think it could they can concentrate more on the music. But I also want to get into with his friendship and the relationship of Freddie Mercury and Mary. And it was she stood by him
Right.
no matter for
Despite
what the
his sexual
difficulties
Yes.
confusion or whatever, and
throughout the whole his entire life.
yeah,
And I've also read about this, and it's actually true that Freddie Mercury never really had that many friends. Mary was his one and only true friend, and he even said that in his quote in an interview.
really.
Her son, Mary's son, through her relationship, the godfather of their first son is Freddie Mercury.
Oh, that was nice.
and she got a big part of his estate.
Oh God.
If you read about it, she got a big chunk of his estate.
See, that's great. That's beautiful.
And I liked that relationship, especially the way it was portrayed on screen. It started off as, love. It became a marriage. Even though the marriage was short-lived, I liked how their love endured throughout the rest
Right,
of Freddie's
as friendship.
life. Yeah, a love, but it was a true love, like a friendship-based love, but still, it was like a love between two human beings.
Right.
You know.
I thought it would have just ended right there.
Right.
Didn't
But
end.
No. That is true love, to stick by someone like that.
Yeah, and one of the other cases I can think of where like a man and a woman just continued to have a good relationship long after they divorced was Joy.
Oh, in Unlovable?
No.
Oh.
The movie called Joy. With,
Oh, the movie Joy with
Jennifer
with,
Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Another one I have. And she won the. Did she win for that?
I think I don't know what the award details are on that one, but I felt J Law.
J-Lo.
That's one of her nicknames. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
She's good.
an excellent job.
She's good. She's like the
She's-
new Julia Roberts.
Yeah, she
Exactly.
is yeah, she is an excellent actress.
She's good, and she's only
yeah.
like mid to late 20s. She's great.
Like,
the
yeah.
range, the maturity in her roles is it's
The
great.
maturity, the intelligence, I mean, the fortitude. She delivers.
I'm just not a fan of the Hunger Games. I'm not into that.
I never got into the Hunger Games myself, but I have heard a lot of good things about it.
What was the movie Jennifer Lawrence was in with Bradley Cooper?
Silver Lining.
That was,
Silver
that,
Lining Playbook.
That was a great.
Yeah,
That was a
good.
good one too. Yes.
And she also in American Hustle.
Yes.
Yes, she
Yeah.
was.
Those are all directed by David O. Russell.
David O. Russell. Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think David O. Russell directed, if I'm not mistaken, the one I just mentioned,
Joy. He did
because
Joy,
Bradley Cooper's
yeah.
in that as well as Robert De Niro. It's like that whole cast.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe save some money that way. I don't know.
No, but the director, David O. Russell, had
Yeah.
a good relationship with these actors. Like,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not use them again? They're
That's
good.
True, that's true.
We
That's
get
right.
along. You know,
It's true.
it's happened.
I only hope that everybody will see this Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yes.
I'm going to see it
Please.
again.
Yeah,
I am definitely.
I am-
gonna
I will
see it
definitely
again.
I would see it.
see it
I would,
again.
I am going
I
to
would
watch
own it.
the holy heck out of this
Or
one
I'll
when it
buy
comes to
the
home release.
DVD if
Yeah.
it comes
The
out.
Blu-ray.
Oh
for
yeah.
me, yeah.
This is ownable for sure.
If anyone is not even a fan of Queens, I mean, see it. It
Yeah.
really is. It even makes me like, oh my God, like, I don't have these songs downloaded yet. I want to download these songs.
I told my friends to please go out and see it. Because
I have one criticism though. It was rated R, and there was some nudity.
I
There
thought there was PG-13.
no,
wasn't
I
it?
believe it was R.
because of the reason that it was rated R, because of the homosexual scene.
Right, that's yeah.
probably why they put that in there.
But I think that overall, though, this could have been like a good family movie. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but give no, I
it's
don't
it's
think
kind
so,
of
'cause
upbeat, and
kind
except for that.
of, yeah, but given
that-
the nature of Freddie Mercury's life,
Yeah.
and how they wanted to really capture it as much as they did,
I think they wanted to go darker than this, actually.
yeah. So I think the rating was deserved.
Yeah.
I will also put it out that Mike Myers was also in the movie. He
was-
played the producer. Now,
Right.
Mike Myers, you can go back, he is a big fan of Queen. And let me tell you, from Wayne's World,
The headbanging.
the
scene.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yep.
he
I
actually-
I
and
noticed that was a great nod.
That
was a great,
was, yeah,
That
right?
was
He wanted to be a part of that film.
right.
He's like, I don't care, put me in whatever you want.
That's great.
And he put him with the record producer. And when the record produced, that was, I'm just putting that, I'm sorry.
No, it's a great scene. I love
was a
that
great
little
scene.
moment. It's like
And
everyone in the
especially when he
audience.
showed up at the end, right before the Live Aid concert, I was
Yeah.
like, "Wow, yes, bring it home."
Great.
We got
We got like less than a minute left. So guys, anything you want to plug? Robin.
social media, Facebook, Twitter, and my Instagram account is basically now a food porn blog. So go ahead. Really? I'm saying that right now. So yeah, and also LOL Comedy Club. I'm booked there this coming weekend, so check me out if you're in the New York area.
Check him out.
Okay.
Elliot, anything you want to plug?
All I can say is thank you for having me on the show. Everybody go see Bohemian Rhapsody, please.
Yeah, I
Yes.
second that, and third
Yes.
that, and fourth
Yes.
that,
I
and
will
fifth
agree to
that.
that.
Definitely. Matt, anything?
Stay tuned for more Nostalgia Time. A new page is going to be coming out.
Yes.
And hopefully be back on here soon for another Nostalgia Time.
Very soon. All right, guys, and so we've got our sponsor, November 10th to the 11th, the Naval Expo at the Sheraton Times Square in Manhattan. For more information, go to navalexpo.com. That's naval with an E. Also, on November 15th, the Boom Business Expo at the Huntington Hilton. For more information on that, go to boombiznet.com. And that about does it for Under the Radar, our 60th episode. I want to thank all of you fine gentlemen today.
Welcome.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
It's great. We'll have all of you on again soon, I hope.
Yep.
And thank you everyone for watching at home and on your devices. I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.
Under the Radar is all new next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with more movie reviews and interviews on Strong Island Radio and Television. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.